Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Spiritual Transformer. So, today I want to share with you a difficult subject matter to talk about. Today, I want to talk about the idea of immigration from a spiritual perspective. So, the concept of immigration is very divisive, but it's also a very hot topic these days, a hot button topic. And everywhere you go, from the US to the UK to Australia to Japan to Canada, where I live in Canada. Immigration is very touchy, very hot topic, right? And spiritually, I wrestle with it. I wrestle with it almost every day because it's a hot topic for me too. So as as someone on their spiritual path, as someone who's focused on spiritual growth, I am making the effort to embody spirituality. That is, embody love, embody peace, embody joy and abundance and acceptance. I'm living a life of non judgment as much as I can. I'm really trying to embody all these spiritual concepts that I learn about. And if you go in that direction, it's almost like you have to be pro immigration, right? I mean, you can't call yourself a being of love and light. You can't really embody all that unless you say, yeah, we accept anybody to come into our country. For me, it's Canada, and we have to offer them love. We have to offer them what we have because that's what a being of love and light would do. And yes, that is true. But I have to admit 100% to you guys that I also see the point of the other side. So, what do I mean by the other side? Well, I mean the people who are resentful of immigrants. I mean the people who don't support it, the immigration, that is. People who might have a bone to pick, really, with the way our government keeps bringing in more and more people. And I'm in a situation where I see both sides. I see the pros and the cons. But as a person on this spiritual path, I feel like I have to be pro immigration. But there's a part of me that wrestles with it because I understand both sides. I hate to say it, but I understand both sides, right? And so, how to square it, how to look at it from a perspective of love, peace, and abundance. How do you look at it so that you're not forced into one idea or another, into one polarity or another? Ideally, I like to pull the concepts in, both pro and against, and find some kind of balance, right? Balance is a pretty good goal here. So, and I can't help but imagine, like, maybe you know someone like this. I can't help but imagine someone who is always giving of themselves. Like maybe you know someone who, whenever you or anybody asks them for a favor, they're the first person to answer, the first person to raise their hand and say, "Yeah, I'll help you." Doesn't matter who asks. This person's always helping them with however they can. And there comes a point in time when you might think, well, this person is helping everybody, but when is this person ever going to help themselves? Right? And I'm thinking, there are people like that. There are people who spread their love far and wide outside of themselves. But when it comes time to taking care of themselves, finding a quiet moment for themselves, doing something that makes them happy for themselves, just for themselves, not for anybody else. Basically, I'm talking about self-love. I'm talking about self-love here, and that's very difficult. A person can be very loving to others and totally neglect themselves. It's crazy that way. And I can't help but feeling that folks like these are out of balance, right? They're out there all the time, but when do they ever take time for themselves? It's hard to say. And one day I think they might crack under the burden, because you can't just do everything for everybody and not take time for yourself. That's kind of crazy. I think there'll be a time when the reckoning comes and they realize how out of balance they are, and they have to take time for themselves. So you can see where I'm going with this. I feel like Canada is that person. She's giving and giving and giving to folks outside of her borders, giving and giving to folks who are new within her borders, very welcoming, but also very outwardly focused, at least in the case of immigration, right? Very outwardly focused. But I think there comes a time when Canada needs to start looking inward, and not from a really xenophobic sort of way, but looking inward and see, okay, we've done all this outward facing stuff. We try to make as many friends as we could. Now maybe it's time to take some time for ourselves. Look deep within, like as Canadians, as a collective, as a country. Look deep within and see what's working, what isn't, what ideas should we keep, what ideas should we not. Basically some real inner love focused stuff. It's time to, I think it may be time for this country, when it comes to immigration anyway, to really start turning in and start focusing on Canada and Canadians again, instead of worrying about how other countries might think about us. And yeah, this is a bit of a hot, touchy subject, and I can't believe I'm actually saying all this, but this is how I feel. This is how I square the hole. This is the only way I can bring things into balance that I know how, is to, yes, have love for those outside the borders, but also have love for those inside the borders. And I think Canada might have gone out of balance in this respect. Too much love focused on outside, too much love focused on people who are new here. We need to bring back some of those love to within our borders, to be honest. Because we need both. We need both. This isn't about making immigrants our enemies, right? And this isn't about making Canadians, the people who are here, the people who've born here, have grandparents here, maybe even have great-grandparents here, right? Not making enemies out of those folks either. We need to be more like Thorfinn in Vinland Saga Season 2, at the end of it, where he says, I have no enemies. And that's the Canada that I kind of want to see. Like, everybody just happy. Everybody, don't have a bone to pick with anybody. Everybody's living in peace and joy and love and harmony. That might seem a bit far off, but I think it will be out of reach unless Canada as a nation embrace some self-love, start looking within, start really focusing on what is here, and clear out what is and what isn't working without alienating anybody, right? Without making enemies of everybody. That's how I feel. So yeah, that's enough of this touchy topic. I think I will leave it like this for now. So, my name is Randy Koo. You have been watching The Spiritual Transformer, and I will see you next time. Bye for now, and peace.